as I always say, this is one of my favorite things to do, and we've got questions for the CEO of Paul Sutton Bourbon, Myra Barginear. Sorry.
Barganeer. You got it. Thanks, John.
Well, I appreciate you hopping on here, and we're just going to jump right into this. I mentioned Paul Sutton Bourbon. How did Paul Sutton Bourbon come to be?
Well, it's a great question. I get a question I get asked a lot. It's a crazy funny story how we ended up in this industry, and I say my family. I always like to show this little. This is my little family tree. So this is a crazy story, Jonathan, but my family has actually been making bourbon whiskey for over 100 years. It goes back to my grandpa Sutton. It's Grandpa Sutton. That was my grandfather. Actually, that's my grandpa. That's my mama. That's her daddy. That's his daddy. That's my kids down in the Rick house. So my grandpa, he made bourbon, and I saw him making it with his uncles and his daddy, and it was something that we just had in our family that we loved, we respected. A lot of times, I kind of make the analogy, it's like your grandma's chocolate cake. You know, um, you have it in your family, you love it. It's at every like graduation and wedding and birthday but like many things in life, the things that you really love, unfortunately, sometimes we take for granted. And but so he made a few barrels a year. He also was he made some bourbon for other folks, for other people. So he was a master distiller, if you will. And so I saw him making the bourbon growing up. So I knew it was like rye based, not wheat based. I saw him cleaning out the cooker, which now 30 plus years later, I realized is a sweet mash process, stuff like that. And really took it for granted. But when he passed, we realized two things. One, this was a gift that we really had in our family. It was really special. And two, nobody wrote down the mash bill.
Oops.
Right? It's like, well, I think it's this. Well, ask your Aunt Sandy, anyway, so this is a little crazy. We're like literally like cleaning out his garage, and we come across all these mason jars of bourbon, and we come across barrels. He's got barrels. So, a little time goes by, and my husband and I were just like, "Wow, this is really special. We should do something with this." But we didn't know the exact mash bill, so we took it to a company called Firm Solutions, which I know maybe a lot of people know. It's an engineering company in Danville, Kentucky, and they reverse engineered our mash bill. So, and the reason I can go in great detail, but in the interest of time, I'll just say like they basically kind of told me what I knew, like it was rye, not wheat, and I'm originally from Alabama, so I saw my grandpa making it with corn, down from our neighbors. So it was, truly grain to glass, sweet heirloom corn, things like that. And we found our proprietary yeast, and then that was 2013, so over 10 years ago. And the summer of 2013, I'll never forget. And we were like, wow, and this is something special. And we formed the company, and we started laying down bourbon ever since. So I was not in this industry. My background's actually in medicine. My husband's in real estate, but we love bourbon. It's a family affair. It's just something that brought us all together. And then, when he was not here anymore, we realized, wow, this is a gift, and kind of took it to the next level. But so we've been laying down bourbon ever since then, and that's kind of how this story evolved. It was, but I don't believe in coincidences, so I was like, this was meant to be. So we formed the company in 2013, been laying down bourbon over 10 years, but we just released it 2 years ago. So if I show this and I'm like, we've been making bourbon for over 100 years, people are like, where have you been, And I say,
Hmm.
well, in the big house. and we released it 2 years ago. And we're just getting our feet wet. We're just kind of, getting started. So
Well, I
that's
was
kind
going
of
to
how the
say,
company evolved.
well, and it's something very interesting because I've had a few others that have kind of talked about this being patient, and this is not an industry where you can always be patient, or it's maybe wise to be patient because you usually have a lot of money tied up. Well, why did you guys want to wait though? You've been putting down barrels, but you said 2 years ago everything finally you were starting to release it. So why be patient and why wait?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, to be very honest with you, we would have gone a few years earlier, but COVID happened in all of our lives, and the ceiling, the floor kind of was taken out from under us. which and then we waited another year. I mean, really, we could have even waited longer, but we decided to our first release 2 years ago was this bad guy. It's a single barreled. It's a bottled in bond. 6 year old. So we waited 6 years old. I mean, as you know, bottled and bond has to be at least four. So
Hmm.
we I felt like we were kind of ready to go at four, but the world was just upside down. So then we waited another 2 years. And honestly, we kept tasting. Every few months we would taste it. And then at 6 years, it probably we could have, the world was still a little crazy. I feel like we're just now getting back, in our skis,
Yeah.
kind of, so to speak. But we were like, you know what? She's ready. She tastes good. She's mature. This is Grandpa's bourbon. Like, let's let her fly. So that's kind of, and I think, a lot of people, I say I grew up with the bourbon, but I didn't really grow up in this industry. You know what I mean? I'm
Hmm.
not, it's a huge learning curve, and I feel like we have a good roadmap from my grandpa. We have a great head distiller. We have a great farm that we collaborate that does all of our grains. Like we've surrounded ourselves with great people because they know a lot more than we do. But a single barrel 6 year old bottled and bond, I feel like is you have to have a lot of confidence in what you're doing. Um, but we waited just because we felt like it was the right time. That's a long-winded answer to your question, but we could have gone earlier. The world was a hot mess, but I think it was a good it was good. And you can tell a difference between a 4 and a 6 year. Obviously, you can tell a difference, in my opinion, between a 6 and a 6.5 month, because we only use one mash bill. But she's mature enough to let her fly, so that's how we ended up with it.
Well, and then you talk about that grain to glass, because you guys could have also probably gone the sourced route. Your family's had the history. You could have just kind of gone that route. Why did y'all choose to go grain to glass Kentucky bourbon and kind of make it yourselves?
Well, we decided, like I said, I did not grow up in a distillery, even though we had very small. My grandpa did small projects, so we decided if we're going to do this, we reverse engineered into the mash bill. We're going to do it like he did it. So originally, 7 generations from Alabama. So we collaborate with two family owned and operated farms that do all of our grains for us rather. We harvest every September. We ship it to Bardstown. We only make 400 barrels every September. So, it's not like we make thousands of barrels a day like the big guys. We literally, whenever the harvest is right, the grains are right, we harvest, we ship it, we produce, and then that's it. We put it up and we don't look at it. I mean, we taste it, we have some fun with it, but you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like we just, we believe in Mother Nature, and, and all those steps. And we feel like to really get to that mash bill that we love so much for generations before us, if we're going to do it and we're going to involve these resources, it's not just money, it's time, it's patience. There's so much that goes involved in it, and it is a science, but it's an art. I mean, we love doing this. So we I mean, for us, there was no other way to do it. We're like, well, that's just how you, and I think it's paid off having the patience. But yeah, so that's kind of why we had to do it that way.
Hey, it seems to be working out really, really well for you. And you also talk about the, um, doing 400 barrels, but you're only releasing about 150 of those barrels. Why was that kind of an idea to kind of release some, but then hold enough back?
Well, we definitely, in my opinion, age matters, maturation matters. It gets better with age. So, we had our 6 year, and then we had a limited release, this bad boy, our 7 year, which it was an annual release. It did so well. We'll do this again. This fall, we might have an 8 year come out, but we felt like, we're really growing this brand. We're not in all 50 states. We're really in the Southeast and a few other states. We're in a total of 10 states. And for us, it's really about building the brand and getting our story out there. And we want to go deep, not wide. So we're putting a lot of effort in the states that we are in. And yeah, just people who love the juice, but then they taste or they hear the story. And between hearing the story and tasting the juice, we've been so blessed that we've had a lot of loyalty and a lot of support. So, yeah, that's kind of just kind of how it turns out.